Let's see here. Yep.
President Donald Trump is threatening an enormous attack on Iran's energy infrastructure if Tehran doesn't allow free navigation through the strategic Strait of Hormuz. CNN's Eleni Giokos joining us live from Dubai. Eleni, Donald Trump then threatening Iran with an enormous punch on Iran's energy infrastructure should Tehran not, quote, open the strait within 48 hours. It's not at all clear whether Iran will heed that warning. All signs are that they won't. The impact of that choke point and the effect of a shutdown in energy sites around the region continues to have a huge impact on the world economy. Asian markets will open first, of course, for Monday trade. What's expected?
We are feeling it around the world already, I think, Becky. You can see inflation inputs basically across the board, whether it's energy, whether it's, things like downstream products on jet fuel, other products across the world. I think that speaking to a lot of corporates, they're really worried about what it's going to do to earnings down the line. And this is why we're starting to see a lot of concern coming through, and even in the markets and the equities. But just focusing on President Trump's line on if the Strait of Hormuz is not opened within 48 hours, that he's going to hit and obliterate power plants, and he's going to start with the biggest power plants in Iran. So clearly giving them an ultimatum.
Yeah, right now oil is trading at $100 a barrel. Yep, $100.80. Oil prices, crude oil futures. That's tough. That is tough. I believe there's more information. What was that one website? Here it is. Perfect, right there. Let's go ahead and head over here. Yeah, this right here. Let's see, what was it? Western Texas Intermediate crude oil trading at 100. Hold on, Brent crude oil. That's over, bro. That's almost at 115, 113. Hey, yo, hold the F on. This is not good. This is what I'm saying. This is what we're trying to tell you. That is, when it comes to these oil prices, is not looking good, and Americans are not going to have the patience for this. But yes, oil is now trading or now at $100 a barrel over. These are the two main ones. Well, that's concerning. That's definitely concerning. But if you ask Fox News, short-term pain for long-term gain. Right? Right.
Iran, for its part, coming out with a statement today saying that all vessels can pass through the Strait of Hormuz as long as they're not linked to what they say is the enemy. So we're talking about US and Israeli linked vessels. Now, how they apply that rule remains to be seen. We've heard just another vessel was impacted by an unknown projectile just off the coast here in the UAE in Sharjah. So we're seeing around 22 vessels that have already been impacted since the start of this war. And that, of course, creates a lot of nervousness from shippers. Iran also saying that if any of its power plants are in fact targeted, that they will retaliate. And they're focusing on desalination plants, they say US assets, as well as other critical energy infrastructure. So rhetoric definitely has been escalated. The big question is President Trump going to be happy with the line of, well, anyone can pass through the strait as long as it's not US and Israel linked vessels? And then importantly, that whoever wants to pass through the strait will have to coordinate with Iran for security guarantees. In the meantime,
and nobody's trying to do that, because that'd be us like conceding that Iran now controls the Strait of Hormuz. I'm like, they got people paying $2 million and you can't align with the U.S. So not aligning with the U.S. ain't enough. Y'all also got to give them $2 million. I mean, that is not what we wanted to do. And why does it seem like Iran is getting almost everything they ever wanted going to war with us instead of actually getting a deal with us? Like, this is insane.
We have heard that 22 countries have shown interest to assist in securing the strait. How and when that will happen, still not answered. In the meantime, interestingly, over the weekend, we also heard President Trump saying that he wants to start winding down the war. So in terms of the inconsistencies we've been hearing specifically from the United States, Becky, this now 23 days into this war, the Gulf nations have borne the brunt of what we've been seeing in the strikes against the region, specifically on critical energy infrastructure.
This threat that was issued by
Oh, guys, let's make sure we double tap that screen and like the video on the horizontal live. And if you're on the regular live, go ahead and hit that like. Go ahead and hit the like button. Appreciate the support, guys. If you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just go ahead and send a super chat, or you can send it in a Venmo. And if you're on Rumble, you can send a Rumble rant. All right, let's get back to it.
President Trump on Saturday Night Iran, as you saw, a very direct threat to the Iranians, saying if they do not reestablish free navigation or allow for free navigation in the Strait of Hormuz and completely reopen it, then the U.S. will potentially strike some of their energy infrastructure. Do you see this as perhaps the president really feeling that mountain?
And I ain't gonna lie, Trump kind of put himself in a very tight spot, because if he doesn't do something today, then yeah, he's gonna look like a sucker. He's gonna look like a sucker. They're gonna hit him with the Taco Trump, and I mean, I don't know. He might just act off that. I'll be real with you. Might just take that to push him over the edge, which would absolutely suck if happened in real life. But I mean, you never know. You never know. You know, Trump really gets caught up in his pride.
Political pressure that you and I have discussed for the last several weeks.
Well, you know, it's also, I mean, look, it is the president either by design or impulse, just sort of careening in his messaging on the war. You know, I mean, literally just days ago, he said incorrectly, as it turned out, but he did say that the U.S. Was not informed of the Israeli attack on Iranian energy infrastructure. And then, of course, Iran responded by attacking other energy infrastructure in the region. You know, Iran is not a democracy. I mean, the ruling regime can absorb a lot of pain on behalf of its public in a way that is just harder for a democracy to do. So it's kind of hard to imagine that this threat is going to lead to Iran to say, okay, yes, you know, we cave and we are going to open the strait. More likely, if the U.S. follows through on this, Iran will try to take out more energy infrastructure in the region, and that could almost immediately be reflected in even higher gas prices. I mean, the president has always behaved, I think, in almost every situation as though he is.
I mean, bro, if they do that, we're cooked, bro. I mean, higher gas prices. Shoot, if your house ain't running on electric, yo, bro. I mean, the heating bill too. Yo, gas bill's gonna go up as well. Like, bro, liquid gas, like that goes through there too. So, bro, it's gonna be more than just our gas at the pump. It's gonna be all across the board, and yes, we're probably gonna be paying more for electricity as well. Like, this is not gonna be a good thing, and it's gonna hurt a lot of Americans in their pockets. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but it's kind of funny because shout out to Monty, who was trying to sell me on buying a Tesla. But not everybody can just buy a Tesla, which is a luxury item.
One with escalation dominance, what the military planners call escalation dominance. He decides how intense the conflict flares and when it ends. And that just does not seem to be the case right now.
If he does get free navigation of the Strait of Hormuz again, what happens then to this issue of NATO and how he's been obviously criticizing NATO allies while at the same time calling on their support? I mean, would he still need their support?
Well, again, if you think that Iran is going to completely back down and open the strait, or that we can do it through unilateral military force in some way, then he doesn't need NATO. But I think, you know, and
according to, well, I'm gonna be real with you. According to the missile range of the new updated missile range, the capabilities of Iran, that might actually be a real problem to go out there and put our soldiers and our vessels out there, because now Iran could reach it. I mean, they could hit further. And like I said, I'm not too really sure about that range, because then, I mean, how was our ships able to stay out of range of these missiles, but then also able to shoot Tomahawk missiles, which don't go as far as you know, what they're saying these missiles now go? Because like I said, it went from 2,500 kilometers now to 4,000. So what's going on with that? But we'll see. We'll see as time goes on.
The posture of this administration toward traditional allies has been kind of indifference at best, and diffidence and actually derision at worst. And
if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me go ahead and show you this quick little clip real quick right here.
Given that range, more European countries could
this.
The attempted attack suggests the reach of Iran's missile capabilities may be much longer than expected. As Diego Garcia is 2,500 miles from Iran. Given that range, more European countries could be at risk of a missile strike. Fox News senior correspondent Mike Tobin is live in Tel Aviv, and he's got more on this.
Like, you see what I mean? You see the problem? Because originally we thought that, you know what, this is like this orange right here. We thought this was the furthest they was truly going, around this orange area. But now they're saying, well, it's not this red area, because I think this might just be the capability of their hypersonic missiles actually out this red area. But no, they can go even further than that, even further. And I'm just thinking like, all right, so then where the hell is our ships? Because are they within this range? And you're telling me what? They're just backed all the way out here shooting hypersonic missiles that only go half as far? Like, make sense to me. But I mean, you never know. You never know. But all right, though. Let's get right back to it.
Given that range, more European countries could be at risk of a missile strike. Fox News senior correspondent Mike Tobin is live in Tel Aviv, and he's got more on this. Mike?
And let me start you out with a couple of significant Iranian ballistic missile strikes.
You know, I mean, the response of the NATO allies to this is what you might expect from those 15, 16 months of this kind of behavior. I mean, the president has, you know, really not shown a lot of interest either in making the case to this to our traditional allies, why this was necessary to do other than Israel, and certainly not to the public at home. I mean, there's kind of been this sense that, you know, we have the force to do this, and therefore everybody else, including the Iranians, would fall in line. And, you know, in the end, we may get an awful lot of what we want out of this war, but we are certainly not getting it at as low a cost as he expects. And the biggest thing that we thought we might precipitate, which is the collapse of the regime, seems nowhere in sight. And again, president's response when pressured, almost always his first response is to escalate, to threaten more. Like, right, NATO isn't doing what he wants. We may reconsider our relations with NATO. And that is what the military planners call escalation dominance. But it does not seem to be completely in our hands at this moment.
We're now joined by Miran Kamrava. He's a professor of government at Georgetown University in Qatar. Thank you so much for being with me, sir. I appreciate it. We are now into the 4th week of this war. When you look at where things stand at the moment, do you...
All right, let's get back over here, because it does seem that the strikes are going on about now. This video came out about 4 hours ago. So let's get right back into Al Jazeera.
States and military are also legitimate target. And he also referred to the bonds market, and which indicates that the economic aspect is not just limited to the oil market, but also buying bonds also is another important. And this market also can be impacted as a result of this situation. So, but for sure, you know, the relations between Tehran and those regional countries has been impacted as a result of the ongoing situation. And when this is over, naturally, I think it's going to be very difficult to amend those relations. However, I think being neighbors for good, I think the two sides will need to find solutions to at least to coexist and to improve the relations in the longer run. But this doesn't mean that it's not going to be challenging.
Okay, and yes, we've heard this escalating rhetoric, haven't we, from President Trump saying